Holler if you hear me, and welcome to this week's edition of Luke Covers because, well, we have got a few previews out there now for the Snow White remake, and those preview screenings, well, all of the access media is playing ball like they're expected. They are playing ball and playing ball and playing ball so much that it's a little bit more reminding you of Cinderella than like Snow White, with how much of a one giant ballroom gala dance that the critics are giving this garbage. But, well, what really matters with a film, its actual audience, its box office take. Let's just say that those abysmal predictions that were being bred out there are actually getting fulfilled, since it's now going viral, actually more naturally than the artificial viral quality of all those crap reviews, by bringing up, oh wait, yeah, people showing footage of theaters that are having these early screenings for the Snow White remake with nobody there. Or online, the Lincoln AMC Theater there in New York City is, having empty seat upon empty seat upon empty seat in the ticket sales for these theaters that almost reach a level of so many empty seats that you could swear it was a screening for Blade Runner 2049, and that we're all the way back in 2016. Not the only example of how basically it's nice that another big arrogant folly of Hollywood and their elitism has led to us reliving 2016 in all the best of ways. But now, you also see that, well, they're gonna go and do everything they can to lie about it. We should never be surprised that all of the failure and all of the follies of the Walt Disney Company are desperately trying to cover up and obfuscate them in the name of pretending that anybody actually is going to legitimately like another example of the same old crap. The same old crap with how it's the best idea that, Disney, the house of brilliant creativity, the mouse house and all that, the best they can do is to fart some same old decades ago property, but, with maybe a slightly different song number, or maybe added a new song number to try and pander to the Oscars, and alter the plot to conform to the social justice dogma that they're being tacitly funded by the Chinese government to go and promote in their movies, but then those very same movies have to either cut them all out to get released in the land of China, or just simply will never get released in there at all whatsoever. But that's a little something that you actually have to have some critical thinking skills in order to notice. But since these people don't have those critical thinking skills, that's why they're film critics. That's why when being so damn close to the sun, flying so close to the sun like Icarus on wings of wokeness, that now we have got reports of, as soon as the reports of the complete lack of sold out theaters across America, we've also got a lack of a complete report now of in the world of Snow White, that now there's going to be dwarfs outside the Disney studios picketing and protesting this film on account of, well, you've got a minority group out there, the dwarf actors. And that when it comes to representation for dwarf actors, there are certain epochs for them where they can go and be gainfully employed when it comes to the entertainment industry or any other kind of industry in general. Of course, the most obvious one that comes to mind is, say, around Christmas time, you go to those malls that are still standing, or even to like a public park, and they have one of those, little Santas out there. You'll have those that'll be hired as Santa's elves. But let's just say that the long time concept, it's been out there for a long while. So as long as the rash of Hollywood remaking things instead of making anything new has been out there, there have been dwarf actors probably anticipating how much work there would be when it comes to The Wizard of Oz getting a remake or a prequel of some kind. And well, for all the people that want to bash Oz the Great and Powerful, that was actually an example of Disney doing right by them by, hey, there's Munchkinland and some of definitely the most iconic live action dwarves in cinema history right there got their chance. Of course, in the garbage version of Wicked, well, that's one of the lesser abominations against nature that piece of crap was guilty of. And in cartoon form, you have the Seven Dwarves in Snow White. And whether it would be a live action remake, well, the second that you started to notice the trend of live action remakes in Hollywood, of course, probably 1,000,001 dwarf actors was thinking, hey, I might have a shot to actually have some kind of major speaking role to my name the second they started remaking these. And Much like what happened with those terrible Snow White and the Huntsman films that are just as guilty of this new version of the Disney version that is trying to convince you that a boring waif of an actress who's only there because the casting couch is somehow supposed to be the fairest one of all, in a world where either Gal Gadot, a literal beauty queen, or model-turned-actress Charlize Theron exist. But guess what? Guess what? In that film, we don't get that. What do we get? We get a bunch of actors that are using either some kind of CGI or some composite photography or some kind of trick photography of having the bony ass of Kristen Stewart walk on a platform next to those actors to try to do a little visual trick to make them look taller than they really are. And with this movie, we've got, oh yeah, we've got some nightmarish CGI abominations in place of real dwarves, even though because of the derangement of social justice dogma, the same seven dwarves are not going to be real actors, but CGI creations, and yet they're going to be voiced by by dwarf actors. But at the same time, these dwarf actors, you could just as easily have had them, on camera for this, but no, they can't be on camera. They've got to go and because that would be offensive. Really, and where's the source of all this crap? Oh yeah, Peter Dinklage. So basically, you're under the illusion that when it comes to minorities and all that, oh yeah, Peter Dinklage, in the case of the dwarf community, is like their emperor. That whatever it is he has to say means that's exactly how every other dwarf thinks. No, it isn't. That's not how that sort of thinking works, because it doesn't matter if you're a dwarf or if you're Hispanic or you're gay or you're a Muslim. You, the individual, are supposed to speak and think and feel for yourself. And well, it seems a lot more individuals in the dwarf community are telling Peter Dinklage to shut the hell up or to go fuck himself, and that they are now going to go and find their way out there into the world with their big picket signs for their little bodies to protest the ever-loving shit out of what these morons at the Mouse House think they can get away with, but it turns out no, because they ain't getting away with this crap. Then, though, it turns out when you spend so many years doing everything you can to jump through hoops to conform to one bit of politically correct cry bullying after another, you wind up figuring out that, oh, wait. Doing all these things in this one direction of making sure that some glorified pressure group, some glorified thugocracy does not get upset, you wind up upsetting another one. And well, everything you fear is actually coming to light. And that's not my opinion, I know I'm right. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel to hit 10,000 subs. Become a member today. Shop at my art store at the second link below. You can buy my art or you can commission me. So felines, slam it, lick it, suck it, and see you, Space Cowboy.